You got guys that punch hard and hit hard, and you got guys that come out and win a few rounds. But nothing really was tough.
Okay. A lot of people are saying that Usyk heavyweight run isn't a lot of fighters at heavyweight, of course, because he only fought, was that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fighters at heavyweight.
So again, I think Oleksandr Usyk is an exceptional fighter, but you need to match him with someone that can actually match his work rate. Okay, and for me, Andrew Cabiel can match his work rate. He's going to go to the body. He's going to follow a game plan.
Floyd Mayweather has voiced skepticism over the widespread praise Oleksandr Usyk has received in recent years. According to Floyd, fans are too quick to crown new legends without fully examining the context. He unapologetically maintains that no fighter, past or present, surpasses his own accomplishments, including Usyk. While Usyk is undeniably skilled, Mayweather argues that his legacy doesn't compare. "I retired undefeated, made history across multiple weight classes, and faced top-tier competition for years," Floyd said. In his view, Usyk's opposition hasn't been on the same level, and despite public admiration, Floyd considers him overrated in terms of skill, resume, and overall greatness.
At the end of the day, I'll let you know. There's no fighter that will ever be better than me. There's no fighter that wasn't better than me before me or after me or when I'm long gone. I'm the best.
Boxing commentator Showbiz the Adult offers a more nuanced critique of Usyk's growing legacy. While acknowledging Usyk's dominance in the heavyweight division, he questions whether the level of competition truly justifies the all-time great status some fans have bestowed upon him. The argument centers on the quality of Usyk's opponents. Aside from Tyson Fury, most lack the historical prestige to elevate Usyk into the conversation alongside icons like Muhammad Ali or Evander Holyfield. Without consistent wins over elite fighters in their prime, Usyk's greatness, according to Showbiz, may be overstated.
That Usyk heavyweight run isn't a lot of fighters at heavyweight, of course, because he only fought, was that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fighters at heavyweight. But they saying that it's full of quality, right? I want you to understand, full of quality. Witherspoon is an all-time great heavyweight. His brother, Tim Witherspoon, you can argue. But Chad Witherspoon, no. Derek Chisora is not an all-time great heavyweight. He's not. He's a fantastic competitor, but if you look at who he fought and look at who he lost to, Chisora is not an all-time great heavyweight. He's not. Dubois is not yet an all-time great heavyweight. Look at who he fought, who he struggled with, who he lost to. Dubois is not an all-time great heavyweight. So we're left with, when you say quality, we're left with Tyson the Gypsy King Fury and Anthony A.J. Joshua. Now, if you guys think that A.J. is an all-time great heavyweight, you can. I can understand that. I definitely can. There's an argument to be made. But Anthony Joshua, when you think about him and a lot of ops from other great heavyweights, Anthony Joshua lost to the likes of Ruiz, been knocked out by Ruiz, was knocked out by Dubois. Anthony Joshua, I'm not sure if you would consider him an all-time great heavyweight, but you can make an argument. Tyson Fury definitely can. So beating Tyson Fury twice is really Usyk's claim to fame. This is his thing.
Some analysts propose a different angle, suggesting that Usyk's brilliance is best appreciated through a pound-for-pound lens rather than through heavyweight history alone. They highlight his exceptional footwork, ring IQ, and defensive mastery, positioning him as one of the most technically gifted fighters in modern boxing. However, they stop short of placing him among the all-time heavyweight greats. For these analysts, Usyk's uniqueness and adaptability define his legacy, but until he defeats more historically significant opponents, his place in the sport's pantheon remains uncertain.
But let's talk about Usyk. His performance was okay, that's number one. And many of you say, well, Usyk is a top 10 all-time great heavyweight. I don't agree. Because Usyk has only had like 7 heavyweight fights. It's very stacked within those 7 fights. But really, it's hard to put him past people who's had 30 plus, 40 plus fights and just had a career, a great all-time career at heavyweight. But what I can say is that Oleksandr Usyk is one of the greatest fighters, pound for pound, ever. And I put him on my Mount Rushmore today. So I don't have him as an all-time great heavyweight, but I do have him as an all-time great pound for pound fighter. And where do I put him there? Pretty damn high.
Critics also argue that many of Usyk's victories were aided by the shortcomings of his opponents rather than his own invincibility. Several fighters failed to make tactical adjustments, even in rematches. Analysts note that boxers like Michael Hunter or Joe Joyce, who possess greater ring awareness and a more strategic approach, might have posed a more serious threat. They believe that heavyweights who can match Usyk's movement, timing, and footwork would create a far more competitive fight. Instead, many entered the ring without a sound game plan, making Usyk's job significantly easier.
A bit harsh on Daniel Dubois after the fight, and I actually think I'm, being fair in being a bit harsh on him. I think Daniel Dubois is an exceptional fighter, but there is something, where it's a confidence thing. And I think Oleksandr Usyk, give him a lot of credit. His jab looked exceptional on Saturday, and really that first, jab that landed on Daniel Dubois, it snapped his head back, and it was a powerful jab. It actually reminded me of Artur Beterbiev's jab when it's, when he really snaps it, and it was obviously a very powerful shot. So I think Daniel Dubois, he was confused by Usyk, and I think, he just looked so discouraged to me. Again, take nothing away from Oleksandr Usyk. I thought it was an exceptional performance. And to be honest, he really didn't even get out of second gear. And he didn't even need to. Now, obviously, there's a lot of, talk about what he's going to do next. In my opinion, really, there's only one fight that I would actually want to see. For me, that's Adrian Caballel. I think Adrian Caballel is someone that, number one, knows how to go to the body. I think if Oleksandr Usyk does have a weakness, it is the body. I think Adrian Caballel can follow a disciplined game plan. I think he's had a good string of wins, and I think his stamina is very good as well. I think Oleksandr Usyk is, winning a lot of these fights based on his speed, his stamina, and his footwork. These big heavyweights like Daniel Dubois, Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury, they cannot live with the pace that Usyk is setting. Daniel Dubois was knackered after 3 rounds in that fight. Okay, so they can't live with the pace. So again, I think Oleksandr Usyk is an exceptional fighter, but you need to match him with someone that can actually match his work rate. Okay, and for me, Adrian Caballel can match his work rate. He's going to go to the body. He's going to follow a game plan.
Showbiz continues his critique by cautioning against placing Usyk in the same conversation as legends like Muhammad Ali or Evander Holyfield. He argues that greatness isn't just about skill, it's about consistently overcoming the very best. In Showbiz's view, even Usyk's top 5 opponents wouldn't make the cut on Ali or Holyfield's resume. This highlights an important distinction: being dominant in your era doesn't necessarily mean you belong among the all-time greats. For Showbiz, Usyk is a great fighter, but he hasn't yet done enough to be considered one of the greatest in boxing history.
Run. I cannot put that over the likes of Evander the Real Deal Holyfield, fighting and beating the likes of Riddick Bowe, beating the likes of George Foreman. When he beat George Foreman was a killer. Beating George Foreman, beating the likes of Iron Mike Tyson. He was a huge underdog there. Beating the likes of Larry Holmes, beating Michael Moorer, Evander beating Michael Dokes, if you guys know who that is and how good of a fighter he was. Evander the Real Deal Holyfield has a different brain. I cannot put Usyk with his 5 heavyweight opponents over heavyweights, great heavyweights, who made careers at heavyweight. We all know what Muhammad Ali did. Muhammad Ali beat the who's who of heavyweight greats. He fought them all, and he beat them, okay? But then you have guys like Larry Holmes who have beaten the Ernie Shavers, who have beaten the Ken Nortons. You have the likes of Jack Johnson, which when you look at his box rec, you see his record and you don't know what he had to overcome to be so great.
When Daniel Dubois stepped into the ring with Oleksandr Usyk, many anticipated a hard-fought battle. Instead, post-fight analysis highlighted a series of flaws in Dubois's performance: poor footwork, limited head movement, and an inability to maintain pressure. This raised an important question: was Usyk truly dominant, or was Dubois simply not up to the challenge? While the win was decisive, some observers argue that the fight said more about Dubois's shortcomings than Usyk's peak form, reigniting concerns about the level of competition Usyk has faced in recent bouts.
was very pro Dubois. And we were willing him on being a London boy and stuff like that. I thought he won the first round. I thought Usyk won the second round. But I thought there was arguments for certainly giving Dubois the third round. But you could see, even if he was in the fight, things were starting to change after the second round. Usyk just had that extra little class about him.
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't have him for any rounds. I just thought Usyk was so dominant, and that jab. And I'm not no boxing expert. I'm a casual. I'm a heavyweight casual. I just love to see big heavyweights box each other, and knockouts. But I just feel like Usyk just was not even out of second gear. Like he didn't need to be. He just had him on that jab, and he just kept plowing away. And whenever Dubois tried to land like a big shot, like one of those big punches that you talk about.
Renowned trainer Teddy Atlas gave a blunt assessment of Dubois's approach against Usyk. He criticized Dubois for failing to make adjustments, even after feeling Usyk's power and movement firsthand. According to Atlas, the biggest flaw was Dubois's lack of bodywork and an absent game plan. Rather than treating the fight like a calculated chess match, Dubois came in unprepared for Usyk's rhythm and angles, making the outcome feel inevitable. Atlas's critique reinforces a growing narrative that many of Usyk's opponents are simply not prepared for the cerebral nature of his style.
That's why I still thought, with the game plan, how do you not see that and adjust 3 rounds later and do it again? But the more disturbing thing to me, Bud, was the lack of body work from Dubois. How do you not go to the body after what happened in the first fight? How do you not test that? He didn't throw one body shot maybe until the 3rd round, and maybe he threw a couple throughout the whole entire fight, or as long as it lasted into the 5th round. That was surprising to me, and I thought they dropped the ball big time with that as well.
You know, to that point, when he did throw the one body shot, I'm not going to get deep into this, which was only one, but it almost looked like it bothered us.
Right? And it looked like very similar to the first fight, close to that belt line, right?
Yeah, but it was low, it was a little low, it was, there's no doubt about it, no doubt. But still, to your point, how do you leave that alone? And then I'm gonna, early in the show, when I broke down the Holloway and Poirier fight, I'm gonna go back to that real quick now. Holloway won because he had he won because he's great and because he's who he is and because of his makeup and his intestinal fortitude, his skills. I understand all that. But he won the way he won this fight because he had a great fight plan. To your point, to our point, Dubois had no fight plan. And to my point, I'm going to answer your question. You asked a brilliant question. See, the show was so much better with you. I'm sorry. I'm not knocking nobody. I'm not. I'm grateful for everyone. Everyone. And everything the history of this show has been. But you open up conversation for me by bringing me down places that conversation needs to be opened up by asking certain things that are relevant in this sport. And what you brought up is how? And I'm going to answer that question. How do you not have a better fight plan? How do you not adjust when you made those mistakes in the 2nd and 3rd round that Dubois made, reaching in? You see the guy stepping out. You see he's setting traps. How do you not adjust to that? I'm going to answer it, bud. Part of the thing that is Dubois is that what I was explaining before about being awkward, about being, a guy that kind of like, he simply gets directed. He's the kind of guy like, you direct him, you give him more confidence, and he's going to go. And he did that. He did it in the Herjavec fight. He walked through right hands. He did it in the Joshua fight. He took charge and he caught him. He did. But you can't do that in some fights.
Usyk's win over Dubois was another milestone in his storied career, reinforcing his status as a 3-time undisputed champion. His technical mastery, neutralizing opponents with precision rather than raw power, continues to define his legacy. Still, comparisons to Muhammad Ali often fall short. While Usyk's accomplishments are remarkable by modern standards, Ali's cultural impact, legendary rivalries, and generational influence place him in a different stratosphere. Usyk may be great, but Ali remains a once-in-a-century figure whose shadow still dominates the conversation around boxing greatness.
Oleksandr Usyk just knocked out Daniel Dubois in the 5th round.
Oleksandr Usyk at his scintillating best with a left counter to the chin, and it was good night for Daniel Dubois, and all rise for the brilliance of Oleksandr Usyk.
Man, I can't lie to you, bro. That overhand left is different. It's different. He put it right on the... That's taking you out, bro. It's cooked. You're cooked. I'm not gonna lie, man. When it comes to heavyweight fighters, you have to put Oleksandr Usyk. He's top 10, bro. It might be crazy to say he's top 5, but you gotta look at what he's doing, bro. When it comes to heavyweights, bro, he's different. He's different. It's just simple and plain. After this performance, where do you guys rank Usyk all time? Just strictly heavyweights. When it comes to heavyweights, where do you guys rank him all time? I'm not gonna lie, he's gotta be top 10.
Debates continue to swirl among boxing fans about a fantasy matchup between Muhammad Ali and Oleksandr Usyk. A growing segment believes Usyk's unorthodox southpaw stance, movement, and tactical sharpness would give Ali serious trouble. They argue that his footwork, feints, and discipline could neutralize even a prime Ali. While this view remains in the minority, it reflects the high regard in which Usyk's ring IQ is held. Still, many maintain that Ali's unmatched adaptability and indomitable spirit would ultimately wear Usyk down, especially in the championship rounds. It's a clash of styles that fuels endless speculation.
We've got to have an awkward conversation. Prime Muhammad Ali versus Oleksandr Usyk. Who wins this fight? The tale of the tape, both men are pretty much just about the same. Not entirely sure on the birthday thing though, someone can go fact check that one. And Usyk did actually weigh heavier than 220 pounds when he fought Daniel Dubois. But regardless of that, the two absolute legends of the sport, who would win this? Now, for me, if I'm honest with you, man, this is going to be a real hot take, but I think Usyk wins this, you know. I love Muhammad Ali. He's one of my favourite boxers of all time to watch. I can still go back and watch most of his fights now and enjoy them. He was definitely ahead of his time. But when I watch Oleksandr Usyk and the way that he boxes and, you know, the way that sort of Soviet style, that Ukrainian style now, has come on over the years. And the fact that most of Muhammad Ali's opponents were of a similar size, similar weight to him, whereas Oleksandr Usyk is giving away a lot of weight against a lot of his opponents and still coming out and dominating them. I think Usyk does it. I also, and this is going to be a bit of a hot take, I do think that the current day heavyweight division is probably better than it was when Muhammad Ali was around in terms of the actual calibre of fighters. I think the fact that fighters can only really fight twice a year at max in the heavyweight division now, especially when you're at the very, very top, whereas in Muhammad Ali's age, they could genuinely fight like 5-6 times a year sometimes. I think it speaks a lot to how the sport as a whole has really come on. But yeah, let me know your opinions in the comments. I know I'm going to get an absolute lashing for this one, but yeah, I think Oleksandr Usyk beats Muhammad Ali. I can't believe I've just said that, but hey ho, is what it is. I think Usyk's too technical, it's too good. I think he would actually knock Muhammad Ali out, especially given that Muhammad Ali had a tendency to pull backwards with his chin in the air, and I think Usyk probably finds that. Not to mention that the dimensions are pretty much the same, so Usyk isn't punching up or anything like that. Anyway, let me know in the comments. As always, like, favourite, similar, share, I'll appreciate it. For more boxing content, hit that follow button. Peace out.
Supporters of the Usyk-Ali comparison often highlight physical and stylistic similarities between the two. Both fighters are known for their speed, footwork, and intelligence in the ring, redefining what it means to be a technical heavyweight. Just as Ali revolutionized the division in the 1960s with his jab and lateral movement, Usyk is shifting today's narrative with his precision and control of distance. Boxing legend Lennox Lewis added his voice to the debate, stating he believes he could have defeated Usyk had they fought in the same era. According to Lewis, modern heavyweights struggle with Usyk not because of invincibility, but due to a lack of strategic discipline. He emphasized the importance of cutting off the ring, using size intelligently, and targeting the body early, tactics he was known for. Lewis's insights offer a tactical perspective that speaks to how the sport, and its fighters, have evolved.
How do you think Oleksandr Usyk would have done in your era, the era of Lennox Lewis, Riddick Bowe, Evander Holyfield, Mike Tyson? How do you think he would have done against you and your contemporaries?
I would have to compare him to Evander Holyfield, and I think he would have done very well. I don't think he would have lasted against me because, I throw a mean uppercut in there, and I noticed he gets caught with uppercuts, so he wouldn't have been able to stand up to my uppercuts.
That wraps up today's video. Stay tuned for more exclusive insights, analysis, and breakdowns from the world of boxing. Until next time.